Hunter Clayton was pretty sure he was dead. Holding up his hand, he realized he could see through it. Incorporeal body, check. Glancing around, he realized he was floating, not walking. Flying spirit form, check. And the coup de grace was that he was literally floating through a tunnel with a light at the end of it. Check. Yeah, he was definitely dead. He didn't actually remember dying. In fact, he still had no idea exactly how he died or what he was doing when it happened. Everything around his death was hazy. All he knew for certain was he was in a tunnel with a light at the end of it. Cliché, but apparently true. Hunter traveled toward the light at the end of the tunnel, as if drawn by some unseen force. It was almost like an amusement park, and he was riding a coaster up a hill inside a tunnel. He was powerless to stop himself or change directions, a constraint even more severe than on a roller coaster, where at least one could look around. It seemed to take a very long time to reach the end of the tunnel, much longer than he thought it should. It was as if time didn't work the same in whatever place he found himself. He wondered how Einstein's theory of relativity applied to the hereafter. When he finally entered the light, he felt his stomach lurch. Or, rather, he had the sensation of a stomach lurching, since he had no physical body any longer. Hunter was a spirit, a soul, whatever people turned into after they died. He didn't know for certain, and even now, he wasn't entirely convinced organized religion did either. The thing that had caused his stomach to lurch wasn't the brilliantly glowing staircase, or possibly a ramp that led upward to an even brighter light. Was that heaven? He snickered, or would have snickered if he had a mouth. Was that the stairway to heaven? As Led Zeppelin said, could he climb the stairway to heaven? It certainly radiated peace and goodness. He couldn't see the staircase's final destination, but the undeniable feeling he received from looking at it made him believe it was what most people considered heaven. Hunter even saw glowing forms heading up into the light. Maybe spirits or angels. But as he'd mentioned, that wasn't what had made his non-existent stomach lurch. It was the other thing. Before Hunter was a drop-off into what appeared to be a gigantic pit that plummeted downward into fire. His non-existent mouth went dry. He tried to swallow, but without a body it was impossible. This pit had to be hell. The glowing form of a person swooped down to hover next to Hunter. It was a man, his face so attractive it almost hurt to look at him. He was like one of those male models or Hollywood actors, too attractive to be real. Yet there he was, hovering in front of him. The winged man wore some sort of white Roman-style robe or toga wrapped around his torso. But the exposed arms were chiseled like those of a competitive bodybuilder. Around the man's waist, he wore a sword belt from which hung a long golden sword that might have dragged on the ground if the man ever landed. He knew what the winged man was, of course. Despite not being overly religious, it was so blatantly obvious that anyone would know. This was an angel. He had to be. Everything about him was screaming, "I'm an angel." A strange juxtaposition of both overwhelming power and incredible warmth and compassion radiated from him at the same time. It was hard to explain. There was literally nothing Hunter ever encountered in his life that came even close. The angel, or whatever it was, smiled and reached out to him. Then everything went white. The next thing Hunter knew, he was sitting in an extremely comfortable leather chair in a completely white landscape.
To keep listening to this audiobook, I've left you a link in the description so you can do it, at no cost thanks to Audible's 30-day free trial.